I know. You have a lot of different projects that you've been coming out with. There was something that you advertised at Gen Con, an
Mhm.
app that you had
Yeah.
talked about. You
Yep.
want to talk about that?
Sure. So Body by Gygax just started off as a kind of a funny idea. I think, people had said, I think I saw a t-shirt years ago that was meant tongue in cheek, Body by Gygax. What do we do as gamers most of the time? Sit at a
Doritos.
table. We got,
Do nothing.
some sugary soda and
Yep.
some delicious snacks that we're eating. And oftentimes we're not out doing a whole lot of exercise, right? So I had, I was in the military for 30 years, and so I kind of was forced to do exercise. It kind of became something that I enjoyed. I started lifting weights a little bit later in life. Then when I retired, a couple of things happened. I went through all my medical stuff at the end and realized, oh my gosh, I have sleep apnea. So that's why I feel terrible every day when I wake up. So I got a CPAP machine and then a lot of stress reduction. And I decided, man, now that I'm not in the army full time, I guess I'm still working full time, but I'm doing something else and it's something I enjoy more. I'm not so fractured doing very, very radically different things. I go to the gym more. And so people started asking me, hey, what are you doing? Can you give me some advice? And I was like, no, I can't, especially on Facebook. I'm not a certified physical trainer. I'm not a medical professional. I am not somebody who should be dispensing, workout routines to people I don't know who could have a host of individual factors, right?
Right.
But I do see a lot of folks with, diabetes, high blood pressure, atrial fibrillation when I go through my scroll in the community. And I was like, well, what can I do that would be helpful? And so I said, well, we're about 6 months away from GaryCon. I just made a Facebook group and I said, hey, again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a trainer, but why don't you pick a goal that makes sense for you, whether that's walking a mile or running a marathon or bench pressing 315 pounds, whatever your goal is, tell us what your goal is, go to the gym 30 minutes, or sorry, go do the activity 30 minutes a day, three times, or 30 minutes, three times a week, and post about us and tell us how you're doing. And it's called that the Body by Gygax Challenge Facebook page. It's still up there. And people dug it and it was motivating folks. And so I ended up chatting with my friend Tommy Rice, who's a designer, game designer, an author, an actor, but he was a college and pro football player. So, and he studied, biology and stuff, and he is qualified to talk about working out and that sort of stuff. So, we were talking about, man, it would be really great if we could help motivate people to go to the gym and do stuff. And I was like, yeah, I had this idea to kind of gamify fitness. He's like, dude, I was thinking the same thing. And we started swapping notes. And we're like, okay, we could do this. Now, of course, neither one of us is a techie. So we're like, we just need to do this giant thing.
Yeah.
And we said, okay, let's do it. And we started getting to it. We're like, oh, wow, this is like a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it took us forever, but we found a grant from Northern Ireland and they helped us develop a shell of what it could look like. And at Gen Con, we kind of showed people, hey, this is where we're at right now for what it looks like for a user interface stuff. And it's really, we're still working on an alpha, right? We're probably about 75% of the way to an alpha to be able to launch and get like a baseline of folks using it, build it up, and get to a point where we can maybe get a beta, attract some more investors, and then hopefully build up this ramp to do all the really cool stuff that we imagine that it would do. But the idea is to gamify fitness, make it fun. You have your heroic persona, your character, and you pick a class, right? So you design it and you make it look like however you want, whether it looks like you or a creature or whatever it is, or an elf or a dwarf. And then you pick a class of what you want to do, and that's going to generally shape what kind of workouts you're doing, whether you're a fighter doing mostly, resistance training, strength, whether you're a rogue type who's doing more agility, a wizard who's going to be doing a lot of cardio, right? Because you got to be able to get away. And then like we want to incorporate mental, Sudoku and other brain games in between your sets and between your rests and that sort of stuff so that you're working. And then you get to do little fights at the end of your workout, end of your workouts, right? And so each time you work out, you gain a little bit benefits and that sort of thing, right? And at the end of the week, the idea is you're with a group, you have a guild, and you work out together and you share your workouts, right? That's part of a community, you're motivating each other. At the end of the week, you face a challenge. You go on a fight and you fight together, right? And if somebody haven't checked all the boxes and done their things, you don't have all the benefits. That makes defeating the end of the week a little harder.
Mm.
So What do you got? You got your peer pressure, right, to do it. Oh, they're counting on me, right? I better do my workouts. That's great accountability. Hopefully we make it fun, right? And then you get little cool, oh, you did it. You got a trophy. You get to hang in your, room behind you or whatever. And there'll be some social interaction and things of that nature. We also want to incorporate, the ability to use nutrition tracking and that sort of stuff. And we do have it right now where when you make your character, right? You can also print the sheet and play like 5e, a
Oh,
5e
okay.
game with your guy that you're working out in the game. So there's so many things they want to do. And I mean our I don't know, our goals are way up here. The hard part is like starting here and then building. That's always the hard part. But where the rubber meets the road is, ideas are easy. Putting something into practice and making it effective is very hard work. So we're working on that to get done. I don't have a date of when we're going to have that alpha out there, but we've collected names, are building a community so that we can launch and get that going. And honestly, as fun as it is to make games and do stuff in the community and spread the love of tabletop gaming and the positive aspects of it, if through this app in any way I could help people have a higher quality of life for a longer period of time, I think it's probably the most important thing I could do for the community. So it's huge. It's good.
I,
Yeah.
I
I
think that,
preaching to the
yeah,
choir here, I think. Yeah.
yeah, I think that at least for me,
Yeah.
being part of a community has helped, because I exercise daily because I have my own problems and whatnot,
Mm.
but I exercise every day, and there are people I talk to about it, and they encourage me, I encourage them, so
Yeah.
forth, and it's having that community, I think, is one of the biggest pieces. And I think incorporating gaming into it is like genius because um, it's incorporating something that people really enjoy doing with something that, you know, once you get in the habit of it, then it's just like, you're just knocking it out. But it's getting over that hump that
Yeah.
having that support network will really make a difference.
It,
Yeah.
it's huge. I mean, I just occurred to me like the first time you DM a game, that's nerve-wracking, right? So
Mhm.
it's probably nerve-wracking for many, the idea of going into a gym. So yeah, I mean, one of the things you do is you're going to first be an apprentice before you even select a class, right? You're going to be a novice, and there'll be here's are you in a gym? Are you not? Are you? And hey, here's what a dumbbell is. Here's how you do this exercise. Here's barbells. And just to familiarize yourself with terms, machines, or just weights or exercises for body weight that you're doing in your garage or whatever the case may be, just so you have a base level understanding. So when you walk into, if you decide to go to a gym and you go into a gym, you don't feel awkward, right? Because
Right.
that's a huge obstacle. People get in their head, oh my gosh, people are going to make fun of me if I don't know how to use a piece of equipment. By the way, the farthest thing from the truth, I've gone to the gym and asked people, or people will ask me now, hey, what about this? Just like a gamer. If somebody comes up and asks you about your favorite game, are you going to say, go away, I don't want to talk to you? Or are you going to be like, yeah, it's really cool. Check this out and be happy to show them? That's pretty much 90% or more of the gym community is going to welcome people into that. So don't be afraid. Go in, whether it's walking, biking, hiking, weightlifting, whatever you're doing, joining it. I should probably join a yoga class because I'm saying, oh, you shouldn't be afraid. I know I would be like the worst person in a yoga class ever. Uh, but
Yoga helps
it's
with your
good for you.
recovery so much, though, and it helps build those micro muscles and talk about your joints. Man, that helps a lot.
So that's yeah, all the more reason why I need to just like bite the bullet and go into a yoga class after I get my shoulder worked on. Uh, you know, 6 months down the road or whatever. Because I know it's yoga. It's like, oh, they're just doing this little pose. Yeah, right. Have you ever tried doing those things? It is hard.
Mm-mm.
There's nothing easy about it. But yeah, there's a lot of great benefits from it. So whatever you are doing to move, just embrace it and do it because it's going to pay off for you and your family. You're going to be around the gaming table a lot longer and just feel better doing it too. So, yeah, I
Well, one
don't
thing I
want to
really
sound too
like.
preachy, but it's super important.
One thing I like about the idea of this app, though, is it holds you
Yeah.
accountable at different levels.
Yeah.
So it's not just a matter of you trying to hold yourself accountable and it's just you and the app, because there's a million one of those. And I have them. I've tried a lot of them. And then but there's the different level here. So not only is the app holding you accountable and you're trying to hold yourself accountable, now you've created this group of people that will
Mhm.
also hold you accountable. And now you have a game built in on top of that. So there's four different levels of
Yeah.
accountability just within
Yeah.
this app. And I think that's very clever.
Yeah, and obviously this is very this is probably like a $500,000 to get this app fully developed, right? But we want to add geolocation so that when you go to certain areas, you get different kinds of monsters that are there. There may be like, pair with various gyms. So maybe if you go to the Dragon's Lair in Vegas, you could end up fighting a dragon, right? Maybe you start with kobolds, right? Because you're lower level, but eventually you work your way all the way up to maybe an ancient red dragon or something like that. And then as you go to conventions and do, they have like orc stomps and stuff like that, where it's like a 5K or whatever run, right? Why not have something where you're doing something for Body by Gygax, do a fitness
Well,
quest
if
at
it
a
gets
convention?
big enough, you could do little events at Gen Con where it's
100%.
Gygax 5K first thing in
Yeah.
the morning, Friday, you know?
And
Yeah.
that's super clever because there are people who will travel just to get that accomplishment.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. And yeah, if you give little rewards, right? I mean, the army, the military does that. It was Napoleon said, "Give me enough ribbon, I'll conquer the world," or whatever it was, right? So you give people little awards, whether it's, virtual awards, obviously there's whole accessory lines and merchandise that could go along with it that would be fun too. So and it would do so much good. So part of the problem is with all these projects is finding time to properly pour energy into them to move the ball forward, right?